0517 hours. The sea is flat. In the Combat Information Center, the sonar display produces a trace that does not belong. The operator does not announce it immediately. He studies it. Narrow, consistent, moving with a directionality that thermal noise and biologics do not produce. Then, the trace sharpens. New contact. Bearing 279. The passive signature clarifies over the next several seconds. The water column around the contact is churning in a specific way. Not propeller wash, not current turbulence. Cavitation. The kind produced by a spinning propeller being driven hard, or by the propulsion system of something designed to move through water at speed and not be stopped. Contact is accelerating. The watch supervisor leans over the console. The track is not wandering. It is not running a search pattern. It is already on a bearing, already committed to a direction, already moving too fast for anything that drifts. The classification comes back in half a second. Weapon release confirmed. The contact has separated from its origin point. It is running hot, straight, and aimed. The torpedo's acoustic signature fills in rapidly as it accelerates. Depth profile consistent with a high-speed attack run, guidance logic active, seeker already listening. A weapon that listens is not ballistic, it is hunting. On the bridge, the captain's eyes do not move from the horizon ahead. Condition 1. Throughout the ship, the shift is immediate and without announcement. Watertight integrity doors begin sealing. Systems transition from monitoring posture to live engagement posture. The carrier ahead holds its heading. Massive, deliberate, presenting the same profile it has held for the last 4 hours. Below the surface, something purpose-built has been sent specifically to end that transit. Time to closest point of approach, 4 minutes. The recommendation for active sonar comes from the fire control team. Going active is not a neutral decision. The ship stops being a listener and becomes a broadcaster, announcing its precise position, speed, and bearing to everything in the water. But the torpedo is already tracking. Concealment at this point costs more than it buys. Go active. The pulse goes into the water, a sharp metallic compression that expands outward in all directions and returns almost immediately with solid contact. The torpedo's return is clean. It answers the ping not by flinching, but by adjusting. A fractional course correction that confirms active guidance. This weapon is processing real-time acoustic data, evaluating it, and refining its solution. Countermeasures launch. Acoustic decoys eject into the sea and activate within seconds, broadcasting false signatures in the frequencies a torpedo's seeker uses to discriminate targets from background. The water fills with competing echoes, loud, coherent, precisely calibrated to look like the thing the weapon is looking for. The torpedo hesitates. The track deflects by a fraction of a degree. The room takes one breath. Then the line snaps back. Weapon rejected decoy, still inbound. The correction is sharper than before, as if the guidance logic recognized the attempt and compensated. The track is tighter now. The bearing has not changed. Whatever logic governs this weapon weighted the false signatures against the primary return and chose the primary return without significant delay. Separation plan executes. The carrier holds course while the screening ships peel away into positions designed to multiply the torpedo's targeting problem, stretching the geometry, complicating the acoustic picture, forcing the guidance system to process more competing information. The formation blooms across the tactical display. Every ship is recording. Every bearing shift is logged. Time to CPA. 2 minutes. Bubble screen activates. Compressed air lines along the hull flood the water column with millions of fine bubbles, a physical curtain of acoustic distortion that breaks up sonar returns and degrades seeker confidence. The effect registers immediately. Weapon seeker fluctuating. Signal strength degrading. For the first time since the contact appeared, the torpedo's track bends. Then it pushes through, still tracking primary. The operator's voice is flat. The weapon has not broken off. It has evaluated the distortion and continued through it. The guidance logic has chosen aggression over caution. Time to CPA, 1 minute 15 seconds. The fire control officer recommends a hard maneuver. A sharp turn at precisely the right moment can introduce enough angular rate change to break a torpedo's final homing solution. The timing has to be exact. Too early and the weapon adapts. Too late and the geometry closes regardless. The captain looks at the track and at the clock. Stand by. The sonar operator begins running the backtrack. Not backward in time, backward in space. Every micro-correction the torpedo has made since launch carries directional information. The weapon's confidence reveals its origin. The launch basket is triangulating. Lines converge on a patch of ocean that would look unremarkable to any surface observer. A second active pulse goes out. Narrow, precise, aimed at the probability zone the backtrack has identified. The return comes back layered, dense, a shape sitting in the seafloor's acoustic clutter, trying to blend into the background geology. It is not geology. It shifts depth by several meters, then steadies. The movement of something with a crew making decisions, not sediment responding to current. Secondary contact subsurface correlated with weapon launch. The captain says one word: nationality. The acoustic library comparison runs against hull resonance characteristics, propulsion rhythm, the specific frequency profile of the ballast and machinery spaces. The database is built from years of passive collection across dozens of deployments. Signature matches Iranian diesel-electric class. High confidence. The submarine heard the active pings and is already reacting. It is attempting to descend below a thermal layer, a temperature gradient that bends sound waves and creates a zone of acoustic shadow beneath it. Classic concealment geometry. The crew is trained. The technique is sound. It is not fast enough. Contact is going deep. Attempting to layer. Sonar reports. We have them. Launch ASW Hilo. The Seahawk comes off the flight deck in a controlled urgency. Chains dropping. Rotors already at operating RPM. The crew inside working before the wheels clear the deck. The helicopter noses forward and drops toward the surface, following the datum coordinates transmitted from the ship below. The dipping sonar enters the water and the return comes back immediately. Large metal hull. Moving. The submarine reacts. Hard turn, ballast dump, attempting to slide out of the sonar cone laterally while climbing toward the thermal layer from below. The helicopter tracks it without apparent effort, sliding sideways through the air to keep the contact centered. The torpedo is still inbound. Time to CPA. 40 seconds. 2 threats on 1 display. The fire control officer states the arithmetic quietly. Resources are finite. Sequence matters. Defeat the weapon first. Contain the submarine. Counter-torpedo launch. The tube floods. Pressure equalizes. The counter-weapon enters the water already accelerating. Shorter than a standard torpedo, purpose-built for one specific problem, carrying guidance logic that does not consider deception or approach geometry or the possibility that the target will cooperate. It ignites immediately and drives toward the inbound contact on the intercept bearing the fire control system has computed. The torpedo detects it. The seeker flares, a sudden change in emission character, as the guidance system recognizes an inbound threat. A last-second angular correction attempts to break the intercept geometry. The counter-torpedo adjusts faster. The screen blooms white. A compression wave rolls through the hull, felt more than heard. A dull thump transmitted through the water column and into the ship's structure. The inbound track fractures into scattered noise fragments and then into nothing. Primary weapon neutralized. Half a second of silence. Then operations resume without pause because the submarine is still in the water and the helicopter is already positioned. Engage. The Seahawk crew acknowledges and aligns over the last firm datum. The acoustic picture from the dipping sonar is sharp. The submarine is slower now, quieter, attempting to minimize its signature. The descent toward the thermal layer is not complete. It will not be complete in time. The anti-submarine weapon enters the water cleanly and arms almost immediately. The submarine's crew responds with trained precision, hard maneuver, propulsion changes, decoy release. The water fills with false returns. Acoustic clutter spreads across the sonar picture. Hold classification. The supervisor's voice does not change pitch. Ignore the signatures. Follow the displacement. Decoys do not have inertia. They do not have the mass of a pressure hull and ballast tanks and machinery spaces. The real contact cannot fake what it weighs. The weapon seeker rejects the false returns and continues its descent. The submarine cuts propulsion entirely. Complete silence. The last evasive option available to a crew that has exhausted every other one. It buys seconds. Contact regained. Strong return. The detonation is deeper and sharper than the first. The distinct acoustic signature of a pressure hull stressed past its structural limits, of compartments failing in sequence as the sea reclaims the space they held. The submarine's track breaks into fragments and then into stillness. No propulsion noise, no maneuvering signature, no further returns consistent with an intact vessel. The helicopter maintains orbit. Sensors continue recording. The evidence does not stop accumulating the moment the threat is neutralized. On the bridge, the captain's first order is not a declaration, it is a directive. Resume screen, maintain readiness. The escorts reform. The carrier has not altered its heading by a single degree from the moment the first trace appeared on the sonar display to this moment. The transit continues. In the CIC, the reconstruction begins immediately. The torpedo's acoustic record is replayed in full. The precise moment it rejected the acoustic decoys, the specific seeker behavior when it pushed through the bubble screen, the guidance correction it made when the counter-torpedo launched. Every decision the weapon made is now a data point. The profile of its logic under stress is more operationally valuable than the fact of its defeat, because the next version of this weapon will be built by people who will study this engagement and try to improve what failed. The submarine's acoustic signature is processed with equal precision. The propulsion rhythm it used before it knew it was detected, the specific ballast and maneuvering responses it produced under tracking pressure, the exact sequence of its evasive decisions and the intervals between them. A crew under maximum stress reveals behavioral patterns that a crew running a training exercise never produces. Those patterns are now in the record. The Iranian submarine fired one weapon with high confidence. The weapon was purpose-built, guidance-active, capable of rejecting decoys, and running a final sprint profile that indicated proximity confidence. None of that was sufficient. The detection came before the weapon reached its terminal envelope. The backtrack located the origin before the submarine could descend to concealment depth. The counter-torpedo reached the intercept before the inbound weapon could complete its run. The anti-submarine weapon reached the submarine before it could disappear beneath the thermal layer. Each of those outcomes was produced not by a single system or a single decision, but by a sequence of trained responses executed without hesitation across multiple platforms simultaneously. The ship's sonar team, the fire control team, the helicopter crew, the counter-torpedo's guidance logic, all of them operating on the same picture at the same time. A submarine that fires once and is detected reveals its position, its acoustic signature, its weapons logic, and its crew's tactical decisions under pressure. A submarine that fires once and is not heard from again reveals the same information with one additional data point attached to all of it. No announcement is made, no statement is issued. The carrier's watch rotation continues. Aircraft operations resume on schedule. The ocean above the engagement site is calm and gives no indication to any surface observer that anything occurred beneath it. Somewhere, a patrol schedule has a gap. A report ends without a final transmission. A commander looks at the silence where communication should be and understands the message it carries without any words being required to deliver it. The carrier continues forward. Same heading, same speed, same wake. The ocean does not change its surface to mark what happened below it. The record inside the ship marks it precisely, permanently, and in enough detail that the next crew that considers a similar approach to a carrier strike group will be engaging against a system that has already processed exactly this scenario under operational conditions. They fired once. They will calculate for a long time before doing so again. If this breakdown gave you a clear picture of how a carrier strike group defeats a submarine torpedo attack and neutralizes the platform that fired it, subscribe and share it. More of these analyses keep coming as long as you are here for them.